All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a couple of real people out there, just like you, just like me. All right, so before I get going, this band here, I've featured them a few times. They're getting ready to put out a new album. This is their last album. It's called All the Time. Not only do I have the CD, but I have the vinyl. And these guys are just a cool top 40 band, old school top 40 band from the LA area. Yes, in California. Yes, good stuff can still come out of California, which I know is a shocker. Fire Tiger, All the Time. Here's where they're at musically. Taylor Dane, Belinda Carlisle, Boy Meets Girl, Will to Power. That's what this is. It's not for everybody, but it's so well done. It's so enjoyable to put this on and think, hey, imagine if the top 40 scene just continued the way it was in the late 80s. You would have had Fire Tiger. This band should be signed to a major label. They're perfect for marketing. They have the right look, and they're fairly talented. I've seen some of their live gigs, at least via YouTube, and I'm impressed. Great pop music from the West Coast. Speaking of great pop music, the Monkees are suing the FBI. What a horrible transition, huh? I got to work on these. So anyway, this story broke earlier today. Mickey Dolenz, the last monkey standing. I just did a video about him not too long ago because I think he's just like a force of nature, as I often say, and a tremendous singer, and has carried this band on his back really for generations now. It's not just like decades, it's generations. And he's still out there, 77 or 78 years old, and he's suing the FBI. Okay, this is crazy. Here's what the story is about. He's suing the FBI over documents related to the 60s band. Now, before you try to connect what he's doing here with what's going on at Mar-a-Lago and with former President Trump, the Monkees showed no signs of liking President Trump, all right? Especially Michael Nesmith, who constantly railed against Trump, the late, great Michael Nesmith. I'm thinking Peter Tork most likely wasn't a fan, and not sure about Davy Jones because obviously Davy passed away before Trump became president, but I don't think the Monkees were sympathetic to the politics of a Donald Trump. So if you're thinking there's a connection here, like Dolenz smells blood in the water and has decided to unearth what the FBI was doing in the late 1960s, I don't think the two things are connected. The timing, though, is kind of interesting. So Dolenz alleges that the FBI has at least two records, not albums, but records related to the band, but hasn't released them. One of the records was a memo related to the anti-Vietnam War activities, according to the suit. All right, let's just try to think logically here for a second. So if you're against the Vietnam War, right, it's very similar today that if you're not towing the line of what the government is telling you, right, I believe that the Vietnam War is a necessary thing. It's like the war in Ukraine right now. If you think that the war in Ukraine is stupid, then all of a sudden, I can't believe you said that. Everybody's for the war in Ukraine. Where's your little lapel pin with the Ukrainian flag on there? What do they say? The more things change, the more things stay the same. So the FBI was concerned about those radical crazies, the Monkees, right? I mean, I know they were following Jimi Hendrix around. I think they were following the Beatles around. Really crazy stuff. The Monkees, the guys who are doing Groucho Marx television shows, and yeah, so the FBI was apparently interested in what the Monkees were doing. So the last surviving Monkee is suing the FBI over these records related to the agency's alleged monitoring of the band in the 1960s. Now, here's the deal. Mickey Dolenz does not seem to be an agitator. He seems to be a pretty level-headed guy. His hair is not on fire, as they like to say. So there must be something to this. In a lawsuit filed Tuesday in Washington, D.C., federal court, Mickey Dolenz Jr. alleges that the agency has at least 2 records or files, you could say, related to the band, but didn't return his public records request for them. Is this surprising? No. Based on their behavior as of late, you know, Trump's got the overdue library book, or he put a box of documents in the wrong room that had a padlock on it. And now all of a sudden, you know, that's the worst crime of the century because he has the nuclear codes. And even if he did have the nuclear codes, how is he going to use the nuclear codes from Mar-a-Lago? I mean, isn't the nuclear football in DC? I mean, are there footballs all over the place? Like you can take one home with you and, you know, if you want to blow up the world, you can press a button and that's the end of everything. But you need those codes, right? And I'm sure before Trump left, he told everybody, hey, you know, I really would like those codes because those codes would be amazing. Those codes would be fantastic and they would be the best codes in the world. And the way I would, you know, press the button would be like the best way to press the button, better than anyone else, right? So I'm sorry. That's the best Trump I can do. One of the records, according to the suit, this is the Monkees issue here, was a 1967 memo from the Los Angeles field office related to anti-Vietnam War activities. So what were the Monkees doing? Were they out there I don't remember any of this or being in the news. You know, all of the bands from that era were so much smarter than today. There's not one band out there that says, you know, maybe this war in Ukraine isn't a good idea. Maybe the fact that we're still blowing up certain countries like Somalia and Yemen, for crying out loud, and Syria, where we attacked, I don't know, I think a few days ago, right? Yeah, just in case you didn't hear that, you know, you heard it here first. You can check out my other channel. Had a whole video about it. Anyway, it says here a second record is redacted completely. You know, I'm surprised they're reporting this story because there are so many similarities between this and, you know, what Trump basically has gone through. And again, I don't think it's out here because it's trying to be sympathetic to the Trump situation. I just think maybe the timing is advantageous for Dolenz to get this out there based on maybe the fact that the FBI has something to hide. Apparently, according to this article, the FBI monitored musicians such as the Monkees during the tumultuous 1960s, and this new lawsuit is designed to determine just how far their efforts went. This is according to Mark Zaid, who is the attorney representing Mickey Dolenz. Zaid says, I've been a Monkees fan my entire life, and I have spent my entire legal career ensuring FBI accountability. Maybe Trump should give him a call, right? It is always fun when I can combine work with fun, he says. An email requesting comment from the FBI wasn't immediately returned. Dolenz, whose real name is George Michael Dolenz Jr., first filed a public record request seeking all FBI records related to the band and its members individually on June the 14th. The agency sent him a letter the next day confirming that the request was received, but there was no follow-up according to the suit. Not surprising. Mr. Dolenz has the ability to disseminate information on a wide scale and may use information obtained through his request in an original work, particularly in maybe an independent film or a documentary or a book his lawyer wrote. So it sounds like Dolenz is trying to kind of do this big Monkees or what do they call it? It's biography or documentary, which might have all of these details in there, which would be really interesting to see this, you know, in television form or in book form. So I think Dolenz is just trying to get the information so he can write the book, right? He frequently tours around the world performing, and he is often a guest on radio and television programs. This is his lawyer again describing Dolenz and what he does. So, you know, these people here at the FBI who may or may not know, you know, the history of Mickey Dolenz, maybe they would act quicker if they knew who he was, or maybe they would stonewall even more. The bottom line here is that even Mickey Dolenz gets blocked by the FBI. He's pretty much a harmless guy. And you know what? The Vietnam War was a bad thing. It's been over for quite a long time. And again, the government messed up like they did in Iraq, like they did, pick a place, Afghanistan. This has been going on since after World War II, where the United States just seems to want to run around the world and cause chaos and build an empire, which seems to be crumbling as we speak here. So in any event, very interesting story. I didn't ever think I would see the headline, Mickey Dolenz is suing the FBI. That's not something that you would typically expect to see anywhere, but it's actually happening. And I think it's very interesting. I think many of these government agencies need to be disbanded. Okay, yes, there are some good people in these organizations, but these things need to go. They have outlived their uselessness. I was going to say usefulness, Freudian slip. But yeah, there are so many of these agencies that are redundant, things that can be investigated at the local level. You know, police departments, they have investigative units, right? We see this on television, you know? We see Sergeant Joe Kenda, you know, getting to the bottom of the crime. I'd rather have Kenda on the scene than these guys who are pretty much a political arm of the government. And it depends who they're working for, who they're actually going to do the bidding for. But then again, I think they're just doing the bidding for one side these days, no matter who's in there. If somebody's in there who they don't like, they're going to basically make their life miserable. So anyway, and again, I'm not just defending Trump here. I'm just saying this thing is rogue. It's out of control, and it needs to be broken up, much like the phone companies were broken up, you know, but then they were given new names and they're still pretty much a monopoly. So you need to just get rid of it. Get rid of the FBI. That would be my suggestion. Anyway, one more time on Fire Tiger here. This is a great album all the time. You know, is it related to the Monkees? Yeah, it's pop music. Like the Monkees were kind of like a pop band, right? Back in the 80s, the Monkees had this song, That Was Then, This Is Now, which is a great song. And that's kind of in line with stuff like this. I think you'd enjoy it. If not, then, you know, I'll be promoting other stuff as we move forward. All right, folks, that's the story. That's the video. The Monkees and the FBI. Sounds like a great title for a song if someone wants to go ahead and write that. See you soon, everybody.